Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So this is the one you will be waiting for, which is progress on my E36 Coupe. It currently looks like it's been abandoned, which in all honesty it has been. But anyway, let's cut to the chase. We've got to get this rear arch welded in. This car's been in this workshop for nearly a year now, which is just not cool. So since the last major video, I've made a little bit of progress, but nothing too drastic. Basically, this arch was rotten on the outside, so I cut out the outer skin. That was always the plan. So you can see that was the filler neck, and basically it's just rotten at the bottom here. And then I thought, okay, cool, so I cut that out. I then prepped the replacement panel, which is this one here. I took this from a convertible, nice and clean. Still needs a little bit of cleaning up, but generally it fits lovely, so that's great. Anyway, I did that off camera mainly because I didn't know if I need inner or outer arch, blah blah blah. Turns out, yeah, it's pretty rotten. So behind the main filler neck outer skin, you have this inner skin which joins to the inner arch, which is this piece. So basically the outer skin and inner skin are like that. Anyway, when I cut the outer skin off, I knew there might be a little bit of cleaning up to do, but it was pretty crispy. So I thought, okay, well, let's get inside the arch and actually have a good clean out and see what it looks like. Well, it was much worse than I expected. So you can see just how bad this panel was. This pit is pretty deep, hard to clean up because access is crap, but really it's just so crusty. And this bottom skin, which lives here on the back of here, is just completely gone. Now looking at that, I thought there's no way I can make that panel. It's not in my skill set I don't have the tools. I just couldn't do a good enough job of it. So I did spend some time speaking to some people, see if I could get one cut from a breaker. But usually if you're breaking a coupe, they tend to be rusty. No one really breaks a coupe these days for any other reason, unless it's accident damaged. And yeah, no one really wants to go in and cut an inner arch skin out because it's a bit of a ball ache. So I then thought, well, what's my alternative? Now it has to come from a coupe. So for anyone doing this in future, the convertible and coupe inner arch panel is unique to each car. So you can't cut up a convertible for your inner skin. You can for the outer skin, that works fine, but the inner skin is different. So my only choice was to buy this complete panel from BMW. So what this does is this gets me this nice area here, which I can then obviously mark out, cut off and weld into the car. But more importantly, it also solves my headache of the inner arch. Now the inner arch, you can't make these from scratch yourself. You know, you're not going to see a lot of it. As long as it's physically, structurally sound and is roughly the right shape, it's fine. But it obviously does take time. So this panel is only available like as a complete panel. You can't just buy this area. So this was direct from BMW. I think the panel was nearly 500 quid before any trade discount. I have got a trade account with BMW, so I got a little bit off. But I think it was still nearly 400 quid to buy this panel. So it wasn't cheap. I probably could have got someone to make this and do a good job of it. But, you know, that probably still would have cost 200-300 quid. And then factor in the running around, getting the bits. And also, I still would have had to do the inner arch. So this, although this is a lot of money for one panel, trust me, I didn't want to spend like 500 quid on it, but it seemed like a good sensible way of getting this perfect, because, you know, you don't want to open the fuel flap and, you know, not line up or some crap like that. So I just thought, you know what, let's just spend the money and get a nice clean repair panel with the inner arch. So it's cured two problems for me. You can't, to my knowledge, you can't buy the inner arch skin. Like if you just had a rusty arch lip and didn't need to repair this, you can't find this anywhere. So you're not really going to buy one of these just for the arch that you'd make it from scratch. But because it was all included, it just seemed like a no-brainer. And then to back that up, the M3 quarter panel that I had or had planned to use for the arch repair turned out, when I started pulling it apart, was rotten and had like 3 layers of paint on it. So even the M3/4 panel that I had set aside for this was no good. So then we went onto eBay and bought a outer arch skin. This was about 70 quid, so a bit more stuff, like manageable. But yeah, so between that and that, we spent over 500 quid just on those 2 panels, or about 500 quid. So yeah, fun and games. Right, so this is where we're up to. So I cut this inner arch skin out where it was rotten. Don't know if you can see up in there. Let me get some light. So that's what the inside looks like. So that's what we've got. I've not done any metal prep at all, so we've got to clean up these edges before we can weld them. I've made this piece fit beautifully, I think there. So that's like perfectly fitting, which is good. Yeah, you can see that's like perfect fit. So that's a nice easy welding job. I just need to pull this out slightly, I guess. But before we can weld that in, really what we need to do is make a plan of attacking this outer and inner skin. So it looks like it's had an arch in here before. You can see, basically, I mean, there's tons of filler on this, but you can see here where it looks like they've put in a panel. I think they've overlapped it. They've done a real shitty repair, which is annoying. No wonder it rusted. And then you can see up here, I haven't ground all the filler off yet. You can see here where they've welded in a panel, and they've just overlapped it rather than doing a butt joint. So it means your fitment doesn't have to be anywhere near as good because there's an overlap. But the trouble is that's a moisture trap, which could be why it rotted around here, could be why this rotted here, I don't know. But either way, we're not doing that. We're going to do a butt weld on it because that's how it should be for the factory. Well, sorry, not how it should be from the factory. That's how it should be if you're going to repair it. Shouldn't be doing overlap welds really, if you can avoid it. So this outer skin needs to come off. Now this arch panel does go right up to there, but we don't need to go that high. I don't really want to disrupt that swage line either. So yeah, what I'm going to do, I think, is trim this panel to like here, and then that should land. We want to get all this old welding and stuff out, so I think we want to land somewhere here, and then sort of come down like that. This is rusty all the way from there up to say there, and then the repair that they put in is like here. So ideally I want to chop out, well, you might be able to see, kind of like that. So I don't want to go any further. We need to, but we do need to get anything that's crusty and rusty out. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I think I've never done a full arch like this before, but basically I need to avoid heat because I don't want to distort the quarter panel too much, and make sure the fitment looks right. Obviously I've got some reference points. I've got this this inner seal here. The bottom of this has already been replaced, so we've got that as a reference point. I might just take some measurements as a reference if I can, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, to get the inner skin off, I'm gonna have to cut the outer off. My only worry is once I cut this off, if I put a disc through here, cut that off, and cut through here, then I've got to be quite careful with this panel. Although I guess I'm not going to disturb that quarter panel too much. But I don't want to throw this gap out, push it in or bring it out too far. Because if I cut this here, cut along there, I've got nothing to refer to really. So, but yeah, so first plan of attack, let's get a wire wheel and see where our previous weld is. So we're going to cut that off, clean up this area, see how far we need to go here, and then we can trim this panel along here, wherever we want it to land, and then we can start to line that up, get that trimmed to shape. Then once we're happy, then we can cut the inner lip off, I think. Lovely. So that's our dodgy arch repair located. So you can see the line follows here down to here, and then we've got this giant patch of rust here, so we want to sort of come probably the other side of this hole or in line with it, and then yeah, sort of cut down there. So they haven't gone too high with the arch repair, which is good, because that means that our panel, we've got plenty of room to play with. So if we have a little look at where that sits, you can see we've got ample coverage in every which way. So we may be a touch short of the back there, but that's fine. So we'll leave, we won't cut all of that out. Right, so what I've done now is I've figured out where the sort of crusty welded in piece is, and then I'm going to cut this out, and then we'll lay that onto our new piece, and then that will tell us how much to trim off so this piece fits. So let's get that cut. That is our outer arch now off the car. You can kind of see the sort of janky repairs. So obviously this is original, this piece here. You can see where they've put a plate in it. They've just overlapped it, which, like I say, is not great because it's just a rust trap. And you can see already it's literally rusting from the inside out. So yeah, it's just not particularly good. But like, if you look, obviously you can see where it was repaired down there, and because they've not put any protection between the metal, no wax, it's just literally rusting, like, again from the inside out. So yeah, that's what was lurking. So you can see why this needs to come off the car. It looks like I've got the bulk of it out. There's maybe a little bit there. It might be a little bit doubled up somewhere here. Just trying to see. I mean, I'm not that fast if there's a little bit lingering, but it would be nice to get rid of it all. Is it that side or is it that side? I'm working in reverse, aren't I? So that must be there. No, I think I've got it all. There's no more sort of doubled up layers of metal there, so I must have literally just cut that off right on the right where they cut it to. So yeah, that wasn't too bad to get off. I think if you're cutting off an original arch, I'm sure this is trickier, because usually this seam, you might see me struggling at the end, is, I think it's like a weird sort of like folded piece of steel. So just watch for that. If you're cutting off an original arch, you'll have a bit more to do. You can see where, rather than weld the inner arch lip, they had basically just bonded it together, or tiger sealed it, whatever you want to call it, which obviously didn't work because, you know, it's gone rotten. So I mean, you can literally pull that crap off. The good thing is it will come apart really easy because it was kind of thrown together. So nice. There we go. So we have to remove all of that, but that's fine. You can see the repairs that we need to make to this inner arch. So it doesn't look like it's actually spread too far round, which is good. So we basically just need to put a fresh lip in. Don't know what's going on there, but yeah, we'll cut this and just put a fresh lip in. So that's quite easy. You can see actually where they've been in it before the grinder and ground it down, because there's all marks and stuff there. So we won't need as much of that panel as I thought, but we have it. So yeah, we'll put some nice fresh metal in. So yeah, that's where we're up to. I think now let's get all this wire wheel, let's get all this filler knocked right back, because we're going to weld to that. and then we can see what needs cutting out and what is good. So bear with me, I'll do that off camera and bring you back in. So we've had a quick clean up. We've still got to cut this lip off, but I've just started sort of wiring and everything. We're gonna have to come back a bit further here because there's a bit of grot just lingering there, so we'll cut that somewhere like that. We haven't got enough in our repair panels to come back this far. We're a bit short, but that's just a simple right angle. I mean, I don't even need to cut into the actual quarter, it'll just be that little return there, so that's fine. All of this is looking good. Other than trimming off that arch lip, we can do that last. So what I've done now is I've just laid out this original panel on the back of our new panel, and what I've done is I've basically just marked out that edge, and then I'm gonna trim that, and that should be our first trim, and then we can start sort of sizing it up and making sure it fits lovely on the car. So we'll get that done next. Now we've trimmed this outer skin, it fits, well it doesn't fit, but we're gonna make it fit. So what I've done is I've got 2 reference points to work with. This bottom one I don't really trust. The main thing is the line needs to look good here and here, so that's what I'm going to work off. We can modify this later. So really we've got this swage line to follow. You can see this here. And on the back, we, assuming if you were going to do this job, your rusty arch probably isn't this bad. But you've got this quarter panel straight edge to follow. So really, as long as we line up this bottom edge with that and this swage line with that, the arch should be in the right place, or there or thereabouts. So you can also take a measurement. Well, because mine isn't going to join up because it's too rusty and the panel isn't long enough, you can eyeball it. But also what I've done is taken a rough measurement from this swage line down to this point here. It's about 220 millimeters, 22 centimeters, or just over. So I've basically eyeballed that and then put these 2 reference marks, so I know roughly where I think the panel should land. With these marks here, that line is then happy, this line is mostly happy, and I've got enough material all around. So now what I'm going to do is start trimming off this excess material. Just trim a bit, test fit, trim a bit, test fit, so I don't take off too much, because I don't want to be filling any big gaps. This needs to be a nice tight fitting panel. So time spent here getting this panel nicely fitted is going to save me a heap of headaches when it comes to welding and finishing the panel off. So again, I'm going to do this off camera because I'll be here all day otherwise, but I'm basically just going to start trimming these edges, the bigger gaps with a pair of tin snips, and as we get closer to the finish with a flap wheel, to try and close this gap up nicely. So I'll see you in about 2 hours. Right, you join me a wee while on. So we've got this now fitting beautifully, I must say. Pretty happy with that all round. So yeah, happy. As you can see, that line there is good. Well, pretty good. We can tweak it up as we need to just before we weld it. And then these lines here, again, looking good. Keeping both those swage lines. What I ended up doing, rather than trying to trim this, I ended up basically putting it then onto the car and then tracing this edge and then cutting that away from the, or cutting that from the quarter, and then that meant actually fitting it up was way quicker. So I should have done that in the first place, but I think in the last clip I said to you don't do it that way, but yeah, you get the gist. So basically I've got this bit left down here, and you can see what I've done. So now all of this fits good. I've then laid it over the top, I've then marked with a pen, and then in theory if I cut just this side on the quarter, it should then leave that edge to join up nicely to this one. So you can see I've marked that. So if I pop this off, so if I now cut that line, or just this side of it, we should end up with a perfect fit. So we'll do that, and then that's basically the quarter panel, the outer skin sized up. And then now I'm sort of happy with that, we can then start to figure out what we're going to use on the inner panel. So we are flying. The outer arch panel is now trimmed up lovely, fitment is good, happy. This gap's big here, but I think Once that's welded, you then pull that together quite nicely, so that's sitting well on the inner lip, or what's left of it. Feels like there's a nice even gap on the back. All the gaps are nice and tight, or as tight as can be, with my fettling skills. I'm pretty happy with it, to be honest. There's not really any major gaps anywhere. Back here, this is the panel we trimmed previously, so obviously it's a nice fit left and right on here, and here. It's a little bit off here. I think the curvature either on that has been bent in, or this arch panel is a little bit more bendy this way. Either way, that's fine, because we'll tack it on what we know is good reference points, which is here, 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 and then we can manipulate it. And this just needs a little bit of fettling as we weld it together. You can see the gap is it's gone in a little bit. It's probably just been bent in transit, so that's fine. That can all be pulled out. That's the gap that we're left with, which is a nice easy fix. Once this is all tacked together, I'll worry about that. There's a little bit of grot there, which I'm going to cut through there, and then get this sorted out. So I think at that point I'm basically happy. This is going to be a separate repair. I've got a cut from a convertible to get this swage line back in, because our saloon sill, for whatever reason, is missing this top edge. I can't remember what happened there. I think I bought this second hand, so it doesn't have this corner on it, but I have a lovely panel to make good, so we won't worry about that for the moment. Just want to get this on. So now that that's happy, I think I'm pretty much going to go ahead, start to cut out the inner arch lip, and then make the new inner panel fit whatever we cut out. So yeah, but happy with that, pretty stoked. It's gonna be lots of welding, but yeah, nice to see it actually coming together. So I've just knocked out this little piece here that was a bit crusty, trimmed that back, so we're now good to, we've got to clean metal there, which is great. This panel here, for some reason I must have cut through there twice, so I'm going to bring that up slightly higher, so I haven't got to re-weld that. So I'm just going to put a disc through there, and then there's some pitted stuff here, so I'm basically going to come down like that, and then I'm just going to follow this line about 1 centimetre up from this fold, and then looking down here, it doesn't look too bad from this side, but on the inside I had a bit of a poke around, and there's some pretty nasty pitted crusty metal there. So being that this inner piece I have, it seems silly not to replace it. So what I've done is just crudely marked out on here where I'm going to cut. You can kind of see I've laid the old piece on there, just marked with a black pen, black on black. But yeah, that's all marked out, same as I've gone down there, sort of marked roughly where I'm going to cut to. And then once I've done that initial cut, I should be able to place that or start getting this piece to fit and get this in position, and then I can mark the inner arch, so I know is where I'm going to cut that. So yeah, let's get this bad boy trimmed up now. We'll use a grinder for this job. So that is now roughly trimmed and just sort of held in place. So you can see some light. You can see where we're set up there. I'm a little bit short just here, annoyingly, but we can make that up, that's no biggie. And then the rest of it's looking pretty good at the moment. So basically what I've done is I've just marked with a pen, gone around, and then I can take this back off, trim off the excess. What I really want to do is get this piece sat really nicely, you know, perfectly aligned, and then we can work on this piece, because there'll be plenty of movement, and you can kind of see that's just starting to sort of fall into place. Gonna need some trimming down there, but let's focus on this. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to knock this video on the head here, because I'm going to probably spend, I don't know, an hour fettling this piece, making sure fitment's really good. So yeah, and then what I'll do is I'll bring you in part 2 when I start to prep these panels, start getting them welded in, and we'll do a whole session of welding and hopefully get this smashed in. But the main thing is we have progress on the coupe at long last. It's only taken me a year, but she's getting welded. We will have an arch soon, which is mint. I have had a look under the passenger side of the floor recently, and I'm now thinking, because I've gone this far on this side, I need to go crazy on the passenger side, but we'll cross that bridge in a moment. Let's just get what's in front of us sorted, which we are doing. So yes, making progress at last. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you made it this far, thank you so much. And if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subs by Christmas, so if you haven't subscribed and you're watching this, please give us a sub. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I will hopefully see you in part 2. Peace.